Ryan Phillippe is here in studio. He plays the special agent trying to put the aforementioned American murderer behind bars, played by Tom Pelphrey, whose fans of Ozark will know his work.
He's such a good actor. That was my only thing that I was upset about. I don't have any scenes with him because I never catch him, because Jason Derek Brown is still at large. He's still out there somewhere.
Right now?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and there's theories that he might be in Australia or Mexico, but we're thinking that if enough people see this movie and it starts a conversation, maybe it brings him to justice.
And again, that is in theaters today, available on digital and on demand starting next Friday here on the Rich Eisen Show, Ryan Phillippe. So we'll talk a little bit more about this and your other projects in a moment, but the projects I'm sure you also would like to talk about are named the Eagles and the Phillies.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the Eagles first up. You're wearing an Eagles hat right now.
I am. I'm chilling. It's a bye week, no stress. Three scary things about the Eagles, I think.
Okay.
We still haven't played our best game. Howie Roseman's going to make a move before the trade deadline to bolster the D-line. And if we come up short this season, we have 2 first-round picks next year. One could be a top 10. I'm thinking dynasty.
I like you using the dynasty word, or the D word, which the gentleman behind you would say stands for Dallas.
I mean, it does.
So, but I think the aspect about what you just laid out and the draft picks, Ryan, the neat part about it for you, and I think, is that all of these draft choices, whether they were this year or next year, the stockpiling of them has always been mentioned as, well, just in case Jalen Hurts doesn't work out,
right,
they can go and use those picks and get some kid out of college. Right. I think that's to bed. I think that has been put to bed.
I think so, too.
And that this is Jalen Hurts' gig. He is a rock star in this league, and the first 6 games prove that. I just saw today, and everyone should seek it out as well. I guess NFL Films had him, they captured his speech to the team after they won against Dallas on Sunday night. This guy's a leader. This is his team.
He is an absolute leader, and he continues to develop. Unlike other players that sometimes plateau or you hear they're uncoachable, he's the opposite. His dad was a coach. He wants to improve. I think he's not satisfied with where he's at even now, even though he's made improved leaps and bounds from last year. But I believe, and he's such a guy of character too, man. Like, he says the right things, he does the right things. You can tell the guys are behind him, believe in him. It's exciting.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about his record because nobody, didn't want to talk about it when they were 2-5.
Right.
Don't want to talk about their 6-0. He does say the right things. But again, even going into this season, I was talking about how the Eagles are going to win this division. I liked it, and I thought Jalen Hurts was their guy for the future. And I know that there are, sports talk radio folks in Philadelphia who like it only when it's something for them to get upset about. I got a lot of grief back on the old Twitterverse from folks in Philadelphia saying you didn't watch the end of last season. You didn't see how dreadful the end of the season was, and you only saw that playoff game at the end and so on and so forth. I just think you got the right guy. And I think the first 6 games has proved it.
And I would say Howie Roseman. He did an amazing job, one of the best off seasons in our team history. Before the season started, I didn't expect 6-0, but I looked at this roster top to bottom, and they didn't have the typical holes that Eagle teams in the past have had. Glaringly, wide receiver has been an issue for us. We haven't had solid linebackers since I don't know when. The secondary now with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and getting James Bradbury, how the hell the Giants let him walk? I don't understand.
I think it was was that a cap thing, Chris? Where
has
I don't
to
know.
have been.
Where they just handed it.
He's a Pro Bowl corner right now.
He's been amazing.
Yeah.
Him and Slay.
Yeah, and so looking at the roster before the season started, I could find no issues. I was excited for each dude at each position.
Yeah.
And that's a rare thing for any team, but particularly for the Eagles.
So then where's the trap door? What do you think? Or
Our biggest opponent is health, really. I mean, I know the Niners have taken a step up getting CMC, and great move for them. They bring an area guy back home. They're going to sell a ton of jerseys. But I think that we match up with anybody in the NFC. I'm not afraid. Health is our only opponent.
What about the health of Dak now, though? I mean,
we'll see. His first
Christmas.
game.
That's Christmas.
It is, and that'll be a hell of a gift to win and beat him twice. But
you all right over there, TJ? You right over there?
I was choked.
No, here's my thing. Dak, obviously amazing, talented player. His first game this season before he got hurt, granted it's week 1, didn't look great. I mean, we'll see what issues they have once he comes back or whether or not they don't. But, they're obviously going to challenge. Yeah.
Right, and I guess you got Minnesota at 5-1. You saw them in week 2, and you dispatched them as their only loss of the season so far. And Brady they're 3-3. And Green Bay sitting there at 3-3. Neither of them look like they can currently right now compete with a team that can put points up on the board, running the ball like the Eagles can. And then defending. I know you were singing the praises of Jordan Davis as you sat down in the chair during commercial break. He is a grown-ass man.
One of the largest human beings I've ever seen in person in my life.
And you saw him when? When did
you see him? He made Lane Johnson look small.
Which is saying a lot.
I saw him in Philly after the Jags game. We went to the friends and family area. The Eagles are so good to me. They take such good care of me. Like, when I go to games and stuff like that.
Did you just go on the road with them too?
I did, man. I'm basically becoming an Eagles groupie in my spare time. So I went to Arizona with, I would say, 30,000 other Eagle fans. Which, by the way, this is not a trip down the turnpike to D.C.
This
is a dedicated...
There's no Delaware water gap in Arizona.
You're spending money to fly, to put yourselves up. Most dedicated fan base, I think, in sports, Philly. And look at Citizens Bank. So our coach, our manager was in New York for many years, the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
He said he's never seen an atmosphere like he did at Citizens Bank Park during the Braves series.
Well, I'll push back on that one.
I'm just saying. That's what he said,
From all his days of the Yankees. Okay.
But it was shocking, Rich. I would go out into the concourse, to get a drink or use the bathroom, and it was nothing but a sea of green jerseys.
In Arizona.
Yes. I kind of started feeling bad for the locals. We took over the place. That could never happen in Philly. Never.
Where Arizona comes in or another team, right?
Never going to happen.
Right. And Sirianni, you got to meet him
I got to meet him very briefly. I felt like a little kid. I got all excited. Spoke to Shane Steichen a bit, who I think is doing a great job.
All right.
Yeah, man. And then when we were at the Jaguars game in Philly, Jason Kelce gave my son his jersey and signed it for him right in front of him.
Jason Kelce is terrific.
A Hall of Famer.
I agree with you. Didn't you come out with a list the other day on Twitter of guys who are currently in the NFL that are Hall of Famers, and you put both Kelce's on there,
I
right?
did put both Kelce's on there. Yeah, it's just I was thinking about guys, if their career ended right now, who do you know for 100% sure Hall of Fame locks?
Right.
And those are two of them.
And those were two of them. I came up with about maybe 10
Mahomes,
to 15.
Brady, Rodgers.
Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Larry Fitzgerald, who's not actually still playing.
Right, but guys who are still playing right now. Who else?
Let me see if I can find this list.
Who else would you include on that front right there? That's an interesting one.
Another thing I found interesting recently was there are only 6 modern-day centers in the Hall of Fame. Only 6.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be 7. That's what I
did. You see that I guess him and some of the other linemen are coming out with a Christmas album?
I saw that. Yeah, I'm excited about it. It kind of reminds me of the days of Buddies Watching You. Do you remember that song that the Eagles did back?
No.
It was an answer to the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Oh, okay.
Back when teams were singing for no reason,
When what Reggie White did it back in those days, and Jerome Brown, may he rest in peace.
Randall,
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. Okay. You got to look it up. Buddies Watching You. It's really fun.
Buddies Watching You. My gosh. Ryan Phillippe here on the Rich Eisen Show, and the Phillies at the same time right now. Hosting an NLCS.
Yeah.
And did you go to either of the games in San Diego?
I didn't. That's why I was secretly hoping the Dodgers would pull it out because it would have made it easier to go to games. But it was kind of hard to see Nola get, hammered a little bit the other night. But I think we're going to take 2 out of 3 at least in Philly. It's tough to play in that park, man. I'm telling you. People get shook.
In Philadelphia, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We bring it.
Hey, I know clearly that I guess it's a better atmosphere than New York, which, I still can't believe that. But okay, good enough. But this is a team that you had to think when they got rid of Girardi,
that was it. Yeah.
That was kind of, we'll see what happens from here on out.
Yeah.
They should give this, Thompson the gig, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. How could you argue with the results? And historically, the teams that have given us a ton of trouble, St. Louis and Atlanta, to get past them is a major sort of monkey off your shoulder, I think.
And Harper.
Yeah.
It's getting it done. Schwarber. That guy is Unbelievable. I don't know how does he keep on getting the Cubs let him go? The Red Sox didn't sign him. He's just unbelievable.
And wasn't his homer the longest in playoff? It was like a 528.
It left in like 2 seconds flat.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge shot. No doubt about that. So let's talk about your other film, Summit Fever. What's that about that's available right now?
So Summit Fever is a mountain climbing movie that I did over COVID. It was an amazing experience. I always wanted to learn how to mountain climb, and that's one of the reasons I took the job, is I knew I'd be trained by like world-class mountaineers.
Yes.
The ice climbing was terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because you've got the crampons on your boots and an axe. And there's nothing to hook into on an ice climb. You're using your rope wrapped around a piece of rock to keep you secure to the mountainside.
That doesn't sound great.
No, and I was looking down on top of Mont Blanc, which is one of the biggest mountains in the world. Looking down to my right or left was a 10,000-foot drop. And
what the hell are you doing?
I mean, I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I'm a little bit of a
Eagles aren't enough of that for you?
Well, yeah, this was during, a year or so ago. But,
okay.
But yeah, it's a really cool movie. And also the fact that it's a smaller film, there's no special effects. So everything you see us doing in the film from a climbing standpoint is actually us doing it. No green screen, no stage work. This is all practical, actual mountain climbing.
And you didn't get enough of a thrill doing all your own stunts in MacGruber?
Funnily enough, I am doing a podcast about the history of stunts. I've started Jimmy Kimmel's company. We're going to do an oral history of stunts and entertainment, starting back with like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, going through the martial arts movies up until, we're sitting with coordinators who did like The Matrix and Mission Impossible to give like behind the scenes sort of Ken Burns take on.
So which is
stunts.
a stunt that you're just give me one from movies that you've seen that you're most impressed by, or one,
Well, the craziest one I've ever done, I did a 4-story jump off a building on a descender wire, which is, I guess, what qualifies me to host this podcast in some ways. But our white whale for this series is a sit down with TC to talk only about stunts, Tom Cruise, to talk only about his stunt, because I think that's an episode anyone would want to listen to.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, wasn't there one just recently for the latest mission or something like that? Where he's on a wing of a plane?
He released that video of him standing on the plane. Did you see that, Ryan?
What the hell?
He's like, hey, we can't wait to see this movie. All right, we got to go. And then he just veers off, and he's just standing there holding on.
It's amazing what that guy can do. And he's no spring chick either. I mean, not that I am, but like to be doing that stuff and risking, calamity at 60 is crazy.
What's a descending wire? What are you just talking about?
So it's there, when you do a jump or a large fall, usually there's just a wire hooked to a vest that you're wearing underneath your wardrobe.
Yes.
And your life is literally in the hands of the man who is on the ground and spooling you at the proper rate. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking, I had to do this jump 10 times to, for various reasons. And I kept thinking, what if that man just had like he seized up, or he had some kind of moment, and I'm on my way down, and it's because he has to spool it at the exact speed that you're falling so that you don't get jerked heavily. And it's pretty terrifying.
Did they take the phone away from those people to make sure they're not like doom scrolling Twitter
I hope so.
when you're doing your thing?
I just know when they introduced me to him, I couldn't have been more pleasant. I was like,
Oh, you always are.
And so then I'm up there on the 4th floor about to jump off. The guy's rigging me, a stunt man. He's rigging me, and I turn to him and I go, how many times have you done this? He goes, dude, I wouldn't do this. Well, because stunt people have their own specialties, and there's certain things that even for them they're not interested in doing.
But what a terrible swing thought. That's
like somebody action.
That's like you're about to hit the most important golf shot of your life. Someone's like, I wouldn't put it in the water. It's just like that. What a terrible thought to put in your head. I mean,
Ryan, you mentioned Tom Cruise, and you see all the crazy things he's been doing for all these mission movies and stuff. What's something like that you would like to do for a film?
I mean, he's going to space. I want to go to space. He's shooting a movie in space. That's something
he wants to moonwalk. Did I see that?
Yeah, I mean, Doug Liman is going to make the movie, and they're going to shoot in zero gravity for a fair portion of it.
Wow.
I think the craziest one he did was hanging on the side of an airplane that's taking off. That is insane to me. I would love to do that, oddly enough. That one is something I find, because who else has ever done that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it, to use the phrase that you just said. American Murder is available in theaters today, available on digital and on demand next Friday. Summit Fever is available now on digital and on demand. Ryan, thanks for coming in here. Congrats on all your sports teams doing so well right now.
And congrats on your Jets looking like they're turning it around, man. I get happy when I see them win because of you, because I think about you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that because I have been immensely happy with watching them. What they did last week in Green Bay is something that I have been waiting for some time. And the neat part about it is it's not because of what the quarterback did. It's about that defense, those kids that are like balling, Sauce in the back end, Quinnen Williams up front, setting the tone because the offense, I think, is going to come along. And when it does, and if they can start putting up 21, 28 with regularity, I don't even want to say anymore because I feel like I'm going to blow it.
Hey, man, decades of top 10 picks will eventually yield a team that's decent. Like, that's how that works.
In theory. In theory, yes, exactly. Follow this man on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Phillippe. Thank you for being here, brother. Let's
Thank
do
you.
this more
Always
often.
a pleasure.
You're always great to come in here whenever you can. I appreciate it.